Hello, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Satanic Mass with Reverend Black. I'm your host, Reverend Black, and today in the studio we have the band Pine Box Boys. Gentlemen, how are you?
Hello. You said our name and we responded. We have our emotions.
Yeah. That's a plus. I'm glad.
I'm glad we recognize our name. Good job.
So, we did it. How was the trip up here?
Pretty good.
I mean, he was asleep most of the time, and and everybody else was driving poorly like idiots. Situation normal.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
I went a different way, so it was pretty mellow for me. It was a beautiful drive until it got really hot. Then
Oh yeah.
I'm not used to that.
Yeah, it's freaking 100-degree.
Yeah, back in
Yeah.
San Francisco, it was getting really warm. It might have gotten to about 76 the other day.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah, we got up to 65.
Well, then you guys are definitely feeling it here, aren't you?
Yeah.
And we're hitting.
I was just thankful I checked and saw I was only getting into the 80s, right? Is that supposed to be the case? Is it going to get hotter than that?
Oh, I don't know. They said I
Yeah,
heard
it was
100.
99.
I heard 100 plus.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Tomorrow and the next day will be in the 80s, but
We'll bring the chill.
somebody
Yeah.
on Facebook claimed 105 earlier. I don't know where the fuck they were, but
It's 100. It's all the same.
yeah, right. So
everybody tuned in to listen to us talk about the weather.
yeah.
We are old.
That's why I'm trying to get on. So,
Uh-huh.
how long has Pine Box Boys been together?
Funny you should mention
Oh,
that.
why?
Yeah.
I'll let you take this, boss.
Well, as a matter of fact, tonight, I was thinking about on the drive up here, is the first show of our year-long celebration.
That's right.
As a 20-year-old band, so it's a very long way of saying that we've been doing this for 20 years. July 4th, 2003 was our first show.
Right on.
And so we did that first show 20 years ago. So we figure we get to celebrate our 20th year from July 4th, 2023, all the way through July 4th, 2024.
Yeah.
So you've got a year to come celebrate 20 years with us.
yeah.
Marketing is already approved of this, so it's no problem.
Yeah.
We're moving forward with this.
We ran it all past corporate. That's Holland's Mortuary Services. As they say, we'll be the last ones to let you down.
Yes.
Right on.
We may have to, by the way, break for some commercial interruptions. We've got contractual obligations with our sponsors.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
You just let me know when.
Snakes in a can. The snakes you need now in a can. That's right. Don't let your next July 4th come and go and people say, well, that was a decent party, plenty of fireworks. I just wish there were more snakes. Make sure you pick up an extra case of snakes in a can. The snakes you need now in a can. In a can.
Where were we?
Nice. All right. So, any of you guys in previous bands, and like, what style of bands were those? If so, like,
Tell them about the band that you were in before Pine Box Boys.
Reagan's Polyp.
Yeah.
There was Reagan's Polyp. We had such wonderful songs as Face Down on Pappy and the Nipsey Russell Special. You might remember those. Citizen Dwarf. And Have
Knives.
Sex With Us.
Knives.
That was our big hit. Knives. Yep. That is a real band, by the way.
No, the real band you were in before, that was before the band that you were in before the Pine Box Boys.
You mean the Zagman?
Yes.
Okay.
Alumni right here.
Right.
That's
So
the
the Colonel and I had a band called the Zagman, which also you can find it, I think, on Spotify. We're not responsible for that being out in the public, because every time we tried to get people to listen to our music, they would leave. So the same fine folks who put out Reagan's Polyp also put out the Zagman. We've got an album out called Crime Spree under that name. But we would play clubs in San Francisco and very noisy out music, and we discovered this maxim to be true, that if the Zagmen were playing, nobody was getting laid that night, you see.
Sort of the opposite of rock and roll.
Right, we could clear a room. It was impressive.
I highly recommend.
Oh yeah, he loves us. He's a huge fan.
Freaking awesome.
But we had a buddy who then wanted us to start playing live soundtracks to his computer animation at this little place called Artist Television Access in the city, and that got us into. So for a while, we would do either his stuff or we would do like silent films. We'd re-edit them and make them funny and things like that. But we would do the classics: Nosferatu, Cabin of Dr. Caligari, Man Who Laughs, Passion of Joan of Arc.
I we did Korean Squatty too, which isn't really a silent movie.
No, but we had to
replaced
get
the score. Yeah.
Yeah, we had to get rid of that Philip Glass
Right, got rid of
soundtrack.
that thing. and
As we
so-
say, we fixed it.
Yeah.
So we did that for a while, and our side project was the Pine Box Boys. So when we didn't want to, go down to the rehearsal space, we would go over to the then drummer's house and throw a blanket over his drums, and we'd play acoustically, and I'd show him old murder ballads. And eventually that became the project that people used to want to come here. So we were like, hey, let's stick with that one. We might get 2 nickels to rub together.
And now you got your nickel.
Basically, when
I got a
joined
bag
the,
of them.
No, tell the truth. When I joined the band, is when you started getting paid.
This is true because people wanted to see a banjo. They didn't necessarily want to hear a banjo. And
Luckily, I
know that problem.
Boston did not play, so that was good. No, he would drag his banjo out to Burning Man, where folks don't have taste, and he'd play music out there, and that's where he and our old drummer started playing some stuff together, and so that's how we met him. Yeah, threw him into the band.
But I was playing actually electronic music before I was playing acoustic murder ballads. It was a total 180, but it was ready. I was ready. It was the time to make that giant leap.
That is a pretty giant leap,
Yeah,
too, isn't it?
that's my move.
Your band killed the robots and had its arc at that point.
Yeah, we peaked in the first year, so after year 5, it's like, maybe it's time to move on. But
They did provide a soundtrack for a NASA demonstration video.
Oh my God! I just saw that woman the other day who hired us, and she remembered. Yes,
Yeah.
we did a. NASA was sending out some satellite, and they wanted to hype it up, and they actually hired us to compose a little bit of electronic music for it.
And that's where the rumor that Possum's a CIA operative got
We
started.
were paid by the government, dude. Don't jealous. Come on.
Part of the machine, man.
Right.
Y'all can just go to hell.
Right. And then we absorbed Jimmy's former band.
Yeah.
Jimmy had his own band.
I started because I had got left behind at a house party. I was playing in a band called Soul Taco, and then I had to hitchhike home from
Soul
El Dorado
Taco.
Hills, California, to Sacramento, California. And some lady picked us up and she's blasting us out. I was like, "This is cool. What is this?" She's like, "It's the Pine Box Boys, motherfucker." So I listened to that all the way home.
Of that person is
Yeah,
dead on.
yeah. And so she gave me the CD, and I
No.
yeah.
How did you come in
I
possession of
remember
that
you
CD?
talking about him.
I'm pretty sure she gave. Oh, I stole it.
There you go.
I forgot about that part.
That's at least the version of the
So
story.
then I was like, well, I write songs like this. So I started this group called Colonel Jimmy and the Blackfish. Slade was the drummer with me over there. And then after, I don't know, some time we realized these guys weren't from Arkansas after all. They were from San Francisco, right down the street. And so we hooked up and ended up doing some shows together. And I had a truck, which was really handy for this band. So like,
And a
he's
PA.
got a truck, you're in. Yeah, so.
Yeah, too.
We hope the chops would come along at some point.
Yeah.
This is why he's still the new guy. He's been in the band for about 10 years now, and Slade's been in the band for about 5 years.
Yeah.
But Jimmy is still technically the new guy because it comes down to how many songs do you actually know.
Well, it's a long list for sure. And then,
It is a long list.
And then Slade was in every band.
Yeah.
Before the Pine
I've
Box.
been in I think it was 24 bands. Me and Sarah did a list one day, and it was like 24
Oh my
bands.
God.
Mostly metal. Like, back in the day it was Mercenary and My Victim, and I was in this band Black Mackerel in Sacramento. That was a pretty fun band with his old,
And Fire Pie.
yeah, he was in,
Yeah.
he was the,
Soul Taco and Fire
He was
pie.
Ah.
You guys have an obsession.
Fire pie
Yes, I
sounds
know.
like a really bad chicken disease.
That's a great band.
That was a cool band. And then Jimmy called me and said, "Hey, we need a drummer."
Yeah.
And I said, "No, no fucking." Just because they live so far. And then I heard the stuff and
It's fun.
yeah, really fun, blast. Got to go on tour. After that was one of my first. Played a couple gigs and then got thrown straight under the bus.
Yeah.
Right on.
Oh yeah, it was fun. I've been having a great time doing it for sure.
So, if you could describe Pine Box Boys in one word, what would that one word be? And we can start with whoever wants to start, but
I on social media, I probably use one adjective over and over and over and over again, and that's absurd. I'm going with absurd. So
I was gonna be stabbed. I was gonna say killer, but that is
Bloody.
killer.
I guess murder grass is pretty good. I like that. I like the sound of that, you know, because most of it is about murder, and it's remotely grassy sometimes. So
that it is, yeah.
other than that, I mean, it's just kind of then it's got its own little universe, you know. So murder grass kind of sums it up pretty good.
Curative. If you listen to our music long enough,
I
it
gotta
will
look that up.
absolutely fix every ailment you have. You got dropsy. You got the feathers. If you've got spinous eruptus, you know, if you've got dog toe, the
Infected coagula bed.
exactly. You know, three-way armpit. Any of those, it will absolutely cure every one of those.
none of
for
these
you.
statements
I
have
thought it
been
was
proven by
before.
the FDA. So,
That's just
1999.
But I'll prove them all.
nice from the CIA operative, the G-man over here, telling me I gotta get my stuff approved by the FDA.
Just keeping us in line.
Alrighty then. I get some weird answers with that one. That's kind of why I like to ask it. But yeah, I was all right. Sorry. What is the strangest thing you guys have seen at a show? Any certain something stand out that you're like, oh my god, that one time.
Well, that one time in Norway was pretty special. It was a college, small little place outside of Oslo, and it was getting late, and we were about to start, and we were like wondering where everybody is, and the bartenders were like, "Oh, don't worry about it, they're gonna be here," you know. And it turns out the price of alcohol was so crazy in Norway that the kids had to like get the cheapest stuff they could, just pound it in the dorms before they go out, so they're not spending so much money. But man, they just rolled in, and there was like gorgeous, you know, co-ed Norwegian girls with the Daisy Duke shorts and the cowboy hats and the, you know, everything. It was, and they were just like,
Hammering.
no, they were right in front of the stage. They had a barrier there. You know, we were like, we need a barrier for this little place.
I didn't need that
needed it
area.
because the
Yeah.
girls were like over there, like screaming at us, and we were just like,
It's the Beatles.
God, it was like.
That's
Felt
awesome.
like the Beatles, you know, and then
Now we're going back about 15 years
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
I mean, my beard was solid black back then.
Right.
Right now, and they'd be like, "Oh, don't touch him; he might fall over." I don't know that that qualifies as strange.
no, it's
although
not
I will
strange,
say
but it
this,
was the most
when-
wonderful gig.
You know, when
in
we
that
did
sense.
kick in, you know, I mean, you know, it's kind of, you know, music's at bluegrass tempo, and they were swing dancing to it at that tempo. It was, and it was like watching Stomping at the Savoy or something like that. They could all dance, every single one of them. So that was pretty.
But what was funny is that they were all dressed in what they think Western wear was. Like, it was the best they could do, and it was such a parody or satire or whatever you want to call it of Western wear. That's where you got these ridiculous Daisy Dukes and a lot of plaid, and you know, it was just, again, it was just absurd.
It was
but-
close enough, though.
It was
man.
close
I mean,
enough.
They got,
It was like
they got the
Norwegian
shorts
country.
down perfectly.
Well, they can't wear shorts outside. It's freezing outside. They gotta wear it inside.
I think it was in Little Rock, Arkansas. when at a place called Whitewater Tavern, when the Elvis impersonator wanted to get up on stage. Now nobody knew who he was, you know, and I was kind of like, we can't, you know, we got a show here. We can't actually just throw you on stage. And besides, I didn't book it. I'm not going to just invite you up there or anything like that. So we're out in the parking lot, and at that point, the Elvis impersonator is challenging me to a fight. And I mean, he's full on in the pose. He is ready to go. People are pulling him back. And I'm just kind of like, what is this guy's problem? I'm going to get my ass kicked by Elvis here.
Like,
Right. Karate chop. You know, and then I'm out. That, I don't know if this is my strangest one, but that certainly jumped into my mind.
I don't know why now Bubba Hotep just running through my fucking.
Yo, great movie, great movie. Yeah.
one of my favorite strange ones was showing up where you had the toy drum set to play. We were in Sweden.
Carlos Nasby.
Yeah.
No, that was in.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was Sweden.
Yeah.
Oh,
They were supposed to have drums waiting for us, and it turned out to be like well, you tell it.
it was.
Yeah, we got to hear this one.
It's like your first drum kit that you get when your
Yeah,
parents
and
are like,
we picked it up in
First act.
We
Was
picked it up in this guy's driveway.
Yeah.
It was just like there was just all this random stuff out, and there was 2 heads on it, but there was only like 4 screws holding them both on. So I took the head off of one, and I mean basically it was just 2. I have a picture, and
It's a tiny kid.
Folks at home can't see
Yeah,
that.
that's
You'll
that'll
have to-
translate
you'll have to-
well.
no, I will. I'll send
You'll
it.
send it to them, and then you
Right.
can cut the picture
Yeah.
of the drum
But
kit.
The drummer from DRI put the funny because I did post it up. I'm like, this is my drum kit. It was just a bass drum and 1 tom, and he's like, I hope you got fries and a Coke with that 2-piece.
But you killed it. Like you.
That was fun, yeah.
You killed it that night.
Actually, you
Had
did.
to.
You
It's one of the
played
best
really
drum
well that night.
solos I've heard you do. I'm being concerned what you had.
Yeah,
That's
it was
right.
pretty funny.
But we can't forget the time that dude in Eindhoven broke his arm at our show.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah.
went to the hospital and came back in a cast before we were done with our set. That was the crazy. I thought it was a
That's,
different guy.
and notice how that's crazy to Americans. You know, it's a statement on the Dutch healthcare system over there that the guy could get back before the encore was over.
Yeah, he had a beer in his hand and he was whooping it up. Before.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen
That's
here.
an all-
Nowhere
that's
close.
That's an all-day thing, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my
Breaking
gosh.
your arm, yeah, you're in for 12 hours, man.
We're forgetting so many strange
know.
things.
Yeah.
These were some pretty okay. I mean,
Well, we don't have to get into all of them.
Right,
Yeah, it's just that I know that when we get into the van to drive over to the gig after this, we're gonna
Oh,
think
yeah.
of all of them. Oh man, I should have told him about that time. You know, the young sophist showed up, and you know, we were all having fun. So you know, it was cool.
So I'm gonna go to the next question.
yeah.
If you could hang out with any artist, dead or alive, who would that artist be?
Oh, I'm gonna guess
Bonham.
Lester.
You think you know mine?
I
don't
think
you?
it's like the 3rd time I've heard Bonham
There's a
mentioned.
couple of good choices
There's a
there.
couple of good choices there.
But the one that I would probably most want to hang out with, I don't. He probably wouldn't want to hang out with. At all.
It's usually the way it is.
I'd love to hang out with Zappa, but
That-
you
Oh,
know,
man.
I was
yeah.
gonna say that.
Yeah.
But I think that he'd be bored with us. you
Totally
know.
bored.
Okay.
I'm not thinking he would.
I've got to get back.
It's
to
pretty
work now.
interesting so far.
Some real music.
Is there anybody else I would add to that list, though? Again, William Faulkner, but I don't think he'd want to hang out with me at all. You know, maybe somebody that probably would want to hang out, and I would just shut up and listen to it, like Tom Savini.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Can I go?
Right? You know, he didn't expect us to duel, you know. I mean, he's all into that stuff.
I want to see his just art, his special effects, and all that stuff,
Oh,
and
yeah. Just
just
to be in the presence of it.
that would be
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
I'm gonna go with the 2 Kraftwerk guys, like in the early 70s when like nobody has ever heard of this weird space music, and they're building their own instruments, and they've got this secluded lab space all of themselves that nobody can get into except them. That would have been the time to be like and Tangerine Dream is also, blowing minds at that time. So I'm gonna go with krautrock in the early '70s.
I've what was it? It was a podcast I was listening to that was talking about how bands like the krautrock thing, Kraftwerk in particular, that those bands came about because all the destruction after World War II, they were just
totally.
So what I can make this thing do,
Right.
Yeah.
There's just so much of that garbage was floating around Europe at the time that it was only inevitable that people were going to make outer space music with it, or make new ones, inspired from these things.
Right on.
Tesla would be a cool one to pick his brain.
Nikolai? For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But he was kind of crazy though, right?
Totally.
He wasn't like the social type necessarily.
He'd want to hang out with us, though.
No, Jimmy,
got a lot of questions.
an artist is somebody who makes
Yeah.
art, so we don't really expect you to have an answer.
Oh, I said Zappa already.
Art's the place. They
Charles
museums.
Schultz.
Who drew Garfield?
Yeah, I want to hang out with that guy.
Who did you?
Jim Davis.
Jim Davis.
Jim
That's
Davis.
it. Oh my goodness.
Actually, was really into solar aquatic greenhouses. I think that might be interesting.
Jim Davis, is he the dude that is all right wing and weird now? Is he the
No, that's the guy
Dilbert guy.
Dilbert.
the
Yeah,
Dilbert
yeah.
dude lost his
Yeah.
mind? Right.
Dilbert!
Apparently, he was always kind of that way.
Oh,
you know?
we should have known through the office politics. What a dick.
Let's not get into that. How about you guys got any favorite venues?
Like Howard's in Norway,
Dude,
man.
they could-
I can't get more way off his mind. Daisy. Like it's sort of like a Homer moment. Daisy Dukes.
I like that casino.
Well, there's our,
That was epic.
our hometown has a
Casino
couple of
place,
places.
yeah.
They had the coolest backstage for sure.
Great American Music Hall.
Oh, there you go.
backstage.
That's, yeah, I did Great American Music Hall in San
Yeah.
Francisco, but
Yeah.
there were some cool places in Europe, but usually the bigger places are the festivals. So
And we're playing there coming up, right? February, I think coming up.
Let them know. Tell them.
Great American Music Hall. Well, actually, are we to plugging stuff yet? We should say plugging for later.
Okay.
We'll get to plugging. People think we're done talking.
Oh, fuck it. All right. Let's not do that yet.
We just played our 20th anniversary show at Bottom of the Hill, which is an awesome, very
That's a great place.
long-standing San Francisco tradition, and so that was really
But
fun.
people need to understand that bands are treated differently in Europe than they're treated here. Hence, the memories are going to be slightly different. Like my greatest memories here don't necessarily involve.
But they had a cheese pizza backstage.
More just like the people that come, and it's like you got to really appreciate the diviness of it and that sort of thing. And so you're just going to have different sort of experiences and stuff like that. So we relish in it for the 2 weeks a year that we get to go.
Right on.
Yeah.
I hear you there. So, what advice would you guys give an upcoming band nowadays? Like, you've been around for a while. Like, there's got to be something,
Yeah, but say learn a trade. There's a lot better ways to spend your time. So I assume that we're talking about that person who, like us, that didn't work. So they had to play music. I mean, and I've known those people that nothing would do, but they had to play music. I'd still say diversify. Learn multiple skills. I mean, you're going to want to retire at some point with a roof over your head, actually.
We're talking so practical, though. In what sense are you asking this question? Like an advice on how to keep a band together, how to start a band?
Wow, that's up to you, I guess.
How to color.
I'm
your
not
hair.
going to elaborate. I'm going to let you do that.
Well, I moving away from like the dollars and cents part of it. I think it helps if everybody in the band is sort of on have a similar ilk if I can throw a GRU word out there, and
Have fun with it. That's the main thing.
yeah,
Don't take it too serious, man. That
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. If the attitude is light in the van and at the club and all that kind of stuff, it definitely helps. But you gotta be stoked on what you're doing too. Like get the art
don't
together.
expect to.
Don't expect
Right.
too much, right? Keep your expectations
Be
low.
surprised.
Yeah, be
You know?
surprised.
Yeah.
No,
Be surprised when something rad happens.
But Danny
Great.
Barnes said it best. He said, like, you're starting out, get your art together first. Like, don't put the cart before the horse. You know, like you got to come out with something that you're really happy and proud with, and then start feeling it out with there. Don't start pressing the flesh with some piece of garbage art that you're not confident in. You know, wait until you're really stoked on it, and then doesn't matter what people think. You go out there and you just do it. You know. So we had our detractors when we started.
And then after a while, you just have to do it no matter what. It's just like us. It's just a party. You just you have to play shows, or something's off. It's
We
weird.
were also lucky in the sense that we never had like a huge dry period of shows, and we could probably do better at working on scrounging up shows, but we're lucky in the sense that people ask us to play just enough. It keeps us busy and all that kind of stuff. So
well, anybody that listens to you is gonna want to.
it depends on who you are. It depends on who you are.
I hear that, but fuck, they don't count.
I'm gonna add something in there. If you're a songwriter, go ahead and read all that stuff that your English teacher told you to read. You know, do it, enjoy it, relish it. You know, it all turns into words in your head. It all becomes your own, and you will find yourself spouting out poetic garbage without even knowing that you got where it came from, where you got there. But I think it builds synaptic pathways, and you wind up, you generate.
Tell them about the mirror analogy. The mirror.
Why would I do the mirror analogy?
The your analogy. No, it's about Dylan's analogy, but.
Oh no! What you mean? Yeah, no, and okay, and this is important also, songwriters. Self-portraiture is not the way to go with music. Okay, you know.
What about how your heart hurts and your
right? Exactly.
No,
Right.
we don't care.
We don't need to know how
We don't-
much your heart
we don't
hurts and
care.
what a sad person you are because you're so sensitive.
No, we don't care.
Gosh, we just.
But
really
I've
don't
got a
care
story
about
to
it.
tell.
But that Dylan's, you kind of go through his music, and if he's using the personal pronoun in any form, it is he's probably playing a character, and he doesn't sing about himself because the camera is turned out on the world, you know, and that's what you should do as an artist. Don't worry about self-expression. It's your camera. You will express yourself. Whatever picture you take, the angle you come at it from is you. But don't sit there and focus on yourself the whole time. One, you'll probably wind up lying to yourself too, you know. So that's another thing. You're not really as cool as you think you are. You become cooler by not focusing on yourself. That's just personal opinion.
That's sound advice, Lester.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna have to replay this and go through all the advice and remember it. Collaborations. If you could collaborate with, and we're gonna do this one by one. If you could collaborate with any artist, again, dead or alive, who would that be? Now I know you said you'd hang with John Bonham earlier, but with collaborations, who would you like to collaborate
That's so
with?
hard.
Dude, that is. Man, I could do some shit with Hendrix. That'd be pretty bad.
Well,
I'll go old school Hank Williams Sr. just to sit back and sing. I got an easily
Nice.
singing voice too. I want to hear if I can harmonize with him or not. See how it goes. I'm pretty sure I can by the recordings, but we're also gonna sit down.
right on.
You guys can both plug your noses.
Yeah.
Just
Easy one for me on that. Willie Nelson.
I
love Willie.
Ah,
My dad was a huge Willie Nelson fan too.
I think everybody's dad's
Yeah.
a huge Willie Nelson
Well,
fan.
that's the way it should be.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I love me
Your
some
dad
Willie.
doesn't like Willie Nelson. Get him, guys! Sorry, Willie, we wouldn't beat anybody up in your name, of course.
I'm gonna go with a
Kraftwerk.
No,
No.
I'm gonna go with a movie director because I always thought that you could take a lot of these songs and make a short film out of them. If one had the gumption and the money. And who's the fellow that Once Upon a Time in it had George Clooney in it and Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, you went the Coen brothers.
No, not the Coen brothers. There's the other fellow. Oh my God, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, we need to collaborate with some movie director, somebody that has tons of money and won't take.
Yeah, so all you movie directors out there.
Yeah, it
We're
doesn't
ready.
need to be tons of money. You'd be
It needs to be a
surprised.
lot of money.
Be surprised how cheaply you can.
A lot of money.
It'd be surprised how cheaply you can get my services. I'm looking your way, Ari Aster.
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
Terrell.
Yeah,
That's the dude. That's the dude. That would be awesome.
I'd probably like to work with Adrian Belew. I've just been listening to his stuff lately, and he just blows my
Him
mind.
over Fred.
Just a little bit.
Crimheads, get him.
Nah, his stuff is just so crazy, and I just love to see what would happen if I threw something at him, see what he'd throw back at me. I think it'd be fascinating.
I guess they didn't gel, but he worked with 9 Inch Nails for like a year.
A year.
I guess, or something like that. I might be. They definitely worked together.
You can bring that guy any place. He would bring something to the table. Like whatever it was. He would just add something to it. He's just so cool.
Right on. So, let me see. The band name. How'd you guys come up with the band name Pine Box Boys?
Well, that wasn't the original name.
That wasn't?
Because I wanted something a little smaller and a little bit more economical. We were the Murder Song String Band. We were not a string band, for one, so that wasn't accurate, and nobody could remember it. My granddaddy used to build, like in the county where he lived in Alabama, he would build, the pine boxes for neighbors when somebody would pass away. I mean, back then you didn't go to a funeral home, somebody would make, you wanted to make your own, that sort of thing. So he would make those. So I remember my mom would tell me, like, there was one, an infant had died, and so he made like this little one, but somebody else in the area had also made one for him. So theirs just sat up in the attic all the time. And Mom talks about going up when she was a kid, and then they look at that creepy baby coffin, and they climb back down and not hang around it too much because it was a baby coffin. There was some sort of baby ghost in there. But yeah, so it's sort of it acknowledges exactly what it is that we're singing about, and it's a tribute to Granddaddy.
Right on.
Yeah.
I like that.
I just learned that, right?
You didn't know that?
Awesome.
There you go.
Plus, Murder Ballad String Band is such a military band name. It's like so descriptive, or like a communist band name.
I
Stand for making murder ballads.
That's what was on the grant form. Description of activity.
Government subsidized song creating unit.
Right on. So, I guess we got the last one, I think. And whatever. Any upcoming shows that you guys got coming up, and do you want to plug anything?
All right.
We're getting to the plugs part now.
Now, when does this air?
It's on.
Oh, it is just
Well,
on. Got it. All right. So,
And it'll air.
Oh man.
It'll air lots of times from here too.
I'm glad I didn't tell that one story.
tonight we are at Johnny B's here in lovely Medford, Oregon. That's tonight with Emery Villains, John Doe Boys, and Buffalo. Oh man, I forgot his name and his
Not
ex-wife.
Springfield.
Buffalo something and his ex-wife. Buffalo. I'm sorry. I'll apologize to you when I meet you. Tomorrow night we will be in Seattle at Alan Thistle 808 Post Street in Seattle. And that's our secret show. We're showing up as our other band, Lester T. Raw's Graveside Quartet. Also brought to you by our sponsors, Hollins & Hollins Mortuary Entertainment. As they always say, we'll be the last ones to let you down. And our other fine product that we're, of course, supposed to shill, and since we're getting to the end, I've got to also acknowledge the packaging was really off on this one, It's Oh Boy syrup, but they put an exclamation after O, so it comes out, Oh! Boy syrup. Anyway, maybe they'll get that packaging fixed, but, that's definitely a product that we have to shill. And then in Tacoma on Saturday night,
the big night.
Yes, the what is it? Great
Ruckus.
Tacoma Smokeout.
Tacoma Smokeout.
Right.
And they're up again. Emery Villains will be there. Our good friends, Stoned Evergreen Travelers. They're wonderful. Have you had them on the show yet?
I haven't had them on the show, but
Okay.
I know the band.
Yeah,
They're awesome.
there's some other good act showing up for that one. So that is that's in Tacoma.
I think it's Dog Bite Harris.
Yeah, it's Dog Bite
Yeah.
who puts this together.
I think Honeycut's playing.
We love you, Dog Bite. Honeycut is playing. Yeah.
I played a show with Dog Bite probably 13 years ago
Oh,
at the old Johnny's.
Oh,
Something
okay.
like that, maybe
Oh,
15. Oh my God, I'm aging myself here. It
Uh.
sucks. Yeah, it's been a while. But,
And then Midnight Mass, July 29th.
July
in,
29th in
Woodland.
Sacramento.
Near Sacramento.
Yolo County Fairgrounds,
Yolo County
if
Fairgrounds.
you're a local.
And and if you're into cars and bands,
That's a great one.
Yeah.
and
It's a good time.
folks dressed up fancy.
Yep.
everybody likes folks dressed up fancy. I can say it. Folks dressed up fancy. There we go. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's it.
Tonight, Johnny B's, 6th and Bartlett, isn't it? Something like that, I believe. Medford, Oregon. Get your asses down there.
Yeah.
We'll have the
But-
suits on when we get out there. We'll look a lot nicer. Or
Sorry,
something.
will not me.
We'll try to pretty up a bit.
I appreciate y'all.
Likewise.
Thank you much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
River behind the camera.
Hey.
Yeah,
Thank you.
remember, he's helping with camera work. Peace out.